Howdy, Math 20-1. We are doing a quick splash and dash of review of rational numbers. And when we review rational numbers, excuse me, first thing we need to do is, what is a rational number? A rational number is a fraction. And the definition of a rational number is rational numbers are numbers where you have x over y such that x and y are an element of integers, right? First thing we need to talk about is equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions, what are they? So I want you right now to come up with equivalent fractions. So I want you to come up with equivalent fractions that are the same as 2/3. Pause and come back with at least three equivalent fractions for that. Okay, now you're back, so I'm assuming that you might have come up with things like 4/6, or maybe 6/9, or maybe you got something crazy like you multiplied top and bottom by 15 and you got 30/45. And in each of those, equivalent fractions are where you multiply top and bottom by the same number, right? Equivalent fractions, you have to. And when you do that, so if I'm creating, the reason it's equivalent is you're really multiplying by 1. So this 2/3 that we dealt with, when I multiply by the same number, so if I multiply it by 4/4, I'm creating an equivalent fraction, but 4 divided by 4 is really just 1, right? But anytime I multiply by same number top and bottom, I create an equivalent fraction. And that's important, okay? We're going to use that concept a lot. All right, next thing is that, how do we simplify? How do we simplify fractions, right? So if we just have a single fraction, how do we simplify it? So for example, you have 18/24. I'm assuming that most of you would go, I know that I can divide top and bottom, and you would do that intuitively. But I want you to ponder what's really going on is that if you prime factorize at 18, if you prime factorize it as 2 times 3 times 3, and you prime factorize the bottom as 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, what you're really doing is you are canceling out the common factors from top to bottom. 2 and 2, 3 and 3. And you might say, well, no, Mr. K, I actually knew that 6 divided into top and bottom. That's right. And the reason that's 6 is because there were a 2 and a 3 that were common in both, which does make 6. And in our final answer, our simplest fraction is 3/4. What do we do to simplify fractions? I cancel common factors. Common factors. Factors are multiplication. I cancel common factors to simplify. Okay. And that's the essence of this whole unit. You think this is a big unit? We can cover all the sections of this unit in that one statement. And I need you to remember that 18/24 can be expressed as a sum of terms. You could write 18 as, well, this would be great. You could write it as, what could we have? 3 plus, well, we could have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 9. That would be good. And on the bottom, we could have 3 plus 9 and 3 plus 9. And you might say, well, why would I do that? Well, I've got terms now. Note, this is a really bad thing. I have a sum of things. Addition and subtraction are not the partner of multiplication or division. And so if you do this, math police are coming to attack you. I start canceling terms, 1 and 1, 3 with 9, 1 and 3. 3 with 3 is 1 and 1, 9 with 9, that's awesome. We now simplify this, and I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, count them up, 1 plus 1 plus 1, and on the bottom I get 1 plus 3 is 4, 5, 6. I get 4/6, which is 2/3. And clearly, They're not the same. And it's in red because this is wrong. Okay? And the note is to brain map is, I will never, ever cancel terms. And terms are where you're adding and subtracting together, right? You can't cancel those. It'll never work. All right? So what will it look like when we do algebra? When we do algebra, if I just gave you a quick example, and I don't know if I gave you guys this one yesterday, so I'm talking to you guys now. If I gave you an example just to lead into the future, what if I gave you this? Pause and think about this. X squared plus 2x plus 2. X squared plus 3x plus 2 all over x plus 2. I want you to pause and see what you would do with that. Okay, so now you've looked at a rational expression. How does this apply? Well, we said I will never, never, never cancel terms. So in this case, this would be a really bad idea, as we've discussed in here with Reese and Meg. This is a trinomial up top. This is a binomial bottom. It would be a really bad idea to start canceling terms and doing stuff like that, because that would be highly illegal. So instead of doing that, what we need to do is we need to actually factor. And if you factor the top as x plus 2x plus 1, the bottom stays as x plus 2. You can now blow up those two common factors, and in simplest form, it's x plus 1. And how do you know, without Mr. K having an answer key, whether you're actually right? Simply try out some different values and see if it works out. So for example, does this really work? All right, sure. Plug in x equals 1 and see if this, do a check. Well, if x equals 1, the original question would be 1 plus 3 plus 2 all over 1 plus 2. Plug in 1 on the right side and you get 1 plus 1. So 2, 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Oops. So we end up with 2 equals 2. Well, what if maybe it doesn't? Maybe it only works for that. What if I tried x equals 5? Would it work for that? It better work for all numbers. If x is 5, I get 25 plus 15 plus 2 is supposed to be divided by 5 plus 2, which is 7. And now I can see that I'm going to have 47, 49 divided by 7. No. What do I get there? 42 divided by 7 is 6. And 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 equals 6. All is good in the world because this is true. Okay? What else do we need to know about fractions, you guys? What else did we learn about fractions? So all we did was simplify a fraction. What's the next rule with fractions that we would have used? Okay, well, I'm going to give you one, then you tell me what to do. Okay? So this idea of simplifying, I want you to think about this. Example, I want you to write this down. Tell me what you would do first. 2 over 3 times 5 over 11 times 33 over 45 times 3/4 times 7 over 15 times 4 over 21. I will pause and come back to you for assistance. Okay, so you come back, and I'm assuming you had some fun. So I don't know how you canceled, but you started blowing stuff up, and I would have gone, I had a suggestion to go 3 with 3, 1 and 1. 11 could go into 33. That's beautiful. That would be 11 into there. Sorry, 11 goes into 33 3 times. I like that. I like this 5 with this 15, so that'd be 3. I like this 2 with this 4, so that'd be 2 left over there. I like this 3 with this 3, and that might be as far as I can go. Yes. Okay, you'll notice that math gods have thrown down a 4 over 21 into the question as well, so you got to keep working with that as well. And we're going to keep working with that. With this 7 can blow up, whoopsie, this 7 can blow up into 21, and that becomes 3. I still have a 2 over here, and that can blow up into there and create a 2. And is there anything more on the top? We have nothing left but that 2 on the top, and there's really nothing more to give. So on the top I have 2 times 1 is 2, and I have 45 times 3, and I maybe could have built the question that, so something blew up that 45, but 45 times 3 is 135. And notice we didn't have to use our calculator or anything, and we blew up as much stuff as we could. We simplified by canceling common factors, okay? All right, so what's the next skill that we need? We need to make sure that we know how to add and subtract, okay? So part A, well, no, you know what? Let's do multiplying and dividing first. A, multiplying and dividing. Okay, so the key here is that you need to think about dividing as multiplying by the reciprocal, and if there are fractions that are improper, we need to convert. So the first thing you do, off you go, is convert these to improper fractions. So this is 2 times 5, this is 14 over 5, times 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19 over 4. And as we talked about, I'm dividing by, in this case, 1 times 3 plus, this is 5 over 3. We've now converted them, and now we say, okay, 14 over 5 times 19 over 4 multiplied by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 5. Let's pause, and so we multiplied by the reciprocal, and now we simply go and multiply across on the top. We get 50 on the bottom, and we get 21 times 19. Oh, help me with that one. Okay, so intuitively, this is a tricky question to find the lowest common denominator. So what I wanted you to do is factor the bottoms. This is 2 times, whoops, I want a different color. This is 2 times 2 times 3. This is 5 times 6, so this is 2 times 3 times 5. And this is 8 times 3, so 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Those are the denominators that are factored out. What is the lowest common denominator of this? 20-1, so I want you to take it back to math 10. If you prime factorize each of your denominators, we are now going to think about what our common denominator is. And so remember the troll, the least common multiple, or the least common denominator, is the smallest number of terms that can build any of those denominators. You would need to have 3 2's, you would need to have 1 3, and you would need to have 1 5. That is your lowest common denominator. Now you need to make each of these denominators the same. So the first denominator is missing 1 2 and 1 5. So we need to multiply that, top and bottom, equivalent fraction of 2 and 5. This one is missing 2 2's, so I need to multiply this one by 2 2's, top and bottom. The third one is missing a 5, so I multiply by a 5 to the top and a 5 to the bottom. You have your common denominator now, so now I can go back to blue. My denominator is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5, and the first fraction has a fraction of 50, plus 4 times 11 is 44, and minus 35. So our final answer, now that we have a common denominator, is 94 minus 35 over 120, which equals 59 over 120, and all was good in the land. I know that you might have done your lowest common denominator another way, but we're going to emphasize factoring because that's the way we're going to have to do it for algebra. And the troll journey of the smallest number of pieces is the way we'll think of finding that denominator. Okay? If you got any questions, your job now is to finish the fraction review assignment, and we'll see you Monday or whenever I see you.